every year they organize a World Pizza Championship, and I decided to go there and compete myself. And that was a great achievement because yes, we did win first position in Australia and fifth in the world. There were 778 competitors and 44 different nations.
This is the Deep in the Weeds podcast. I'm Anthony Huckstep. There are few foods on the planet that create such heated debate as pizza, from the type of dough to the amount of toppings, and indeed the type of toppings. It is an art form, an experience that is often down to the eye of the beholder. But there is a chasm between an average pizza and a great pizza. What sets them apart? Lucio De Falco is the owner of Lucio Pizzeria in Darlinghurst and Zetland. Lucio, how are you going?
I'm very well, Anthony. How are you?
I'm good. You are renowned for doing amazing pizzas, and you've won awards as Australia's best. What does it take to make a great pizza?
Look, a lot of it's a combination of different things, Anthony. It's not just one thing. Obviously, is you got to spend a lot of time into it. You got to believe in what you do. As I said, it's a combination of different things. One of the main thing is you got to have the dough right. The fermentation is one of the important element that everybody should consider.
Well, let's have a look at that first. Tell us about the fermentation and the dough, and what do you need to do to get it right?
So basically, we do a Neapolitan style pizza. Neapolitan style pizza, they very different from any other pizza because the dough is soft, light, and has a puffy edge around, right? Now, the lightness of a pizza is a very, very important element to consider, whether people like crispy base or soft base, but if the fermentation is not done right, we're starting on something that is already wrong from the beginning. All right. So we work on 24 hours fermentation with only small amount of yeast. So basically in our dough, we only use a small percentage of fresh yeast. That's because we want the yeast to develop into the dough slowly. And the process of fermentation is done naturally. So basically, there is a difference of something that can be proved within 3 hours and something that is proved within 24 hours.
We can get into the cooking of pizzas and the toppings and all of those sort of things, but as you briefly mentioned, the style of pizza that you're doing, it goes back to your roots, and you're born and raised in Naples. Can you take us back there and back to your youth and when you first started getting interested in food?
Well, since I was little, I remember my mom used to complain a lot because I always used to make a little bit of a mess in the kitchen, you know. And then at the age of 14, my relatives, they had a couple of pizzeria restaurant in Naples. That's when I was introduced to the industry. So I started when I was 14 years old. Back then I was a delivery boy, washing dishes. You know, I started from scratch. And then because I always liked the industry, I never left since then. So I was born there, grew up there, and I've been in Australia for 18 years now. And I opened Lucio Pizzeria at Darlinghurst 13 years ago, Zetland 5 years ago. So...
Well, take us back to Naples and the sort of food from that region. Can you give us an idea of the sort of produce and food that you grew up on?
Absolutely. Look, there is a lot to know, you know, from the tomato sauce, San Marzano tomato sauce, from buffalo mozzarella, from like the cherry tomato, the flavor of the sauce, the flour, the dough, the olive oil. You know, one of the main ingredients of Naples is that especially pizza-wise, is the mozzarella. The buffalo mozzarella is very renowned over there. It's quite very, very good cheese for pizzas. Even the tomato sauce, the type of tomato sauce we have in Campania region, it's quite sweet. And one of the best tomato sauce that we have for pizza is San Marzano tomato sauce. It's so sweet that there is no reason to add any more ingredients into it.
You started your career in Naples and with your relatives' pizza restaurants. What led you to come to Australia?
Back then, I was working, obviously, in Italy, exactly on the north of Italy. And what happened that a friend of mine, he was working for someone that he wanted to open a Neapolitan style pizza in Sydney. Back then, there was no one that was doing this sort of a pizza. So they called me and they proposed me to come here and work with them for 1 year. Because I was quite young, I was 21. And, I always liked to travel. I said, you know what, I'm gonna go to Sydney and I'm gonna experience. I'm gonna do a nice experience. If I like, I stay. If I don't like it, I come back. And so I came here for a year, and 18 years after, I'm still here.
Yeah. Well, take us back to that time when you first arrived here. What was it like? Was it a bit of a shock what the food scene was like here compared to what you used to?
Yeah, look, it was a little bit hard, to be honest. Now it's easy to let people your product, but before it was a little bit hard, because the dough is different. Australian back then, they didn't have many pizza, Neapolitan style pizza. The dough is soft, not much toppings, not chicken, not these sort of things. So it was a little bit, and me coming here, not speaking any words of English, I couldn't really understand why this product for some people was good, for others it wasn't really enjoyable, or it wasn't really appreciated. But to be honest, where I worked, we go after 6 months later, the place it got really, really busy. So the restaurant got really busy that people start to, and even thanks to the media, you know what I mean? Because bringing from Naples the tradition, the flavor, the authenticity of something from Naples straight to here, it was something that it was never done before. You know what I mean? So that's why the restaurant got really busy after.
You mentioned that you've had your first restaurant for 13 years. Tell us about creating that and what led to the opening of your own restaurant.
Yeah, so I always had the dream of opening something on my own, and as soon I go my PR, like as soon I go permanent resident here in Australia, that's when I decide to open my own pizzeria. And Darling has this great area because it's very residential, it's cozy. We are underneath this building that is called Republic 2. There is a big piazza with underneath this building there are another few other restaurants. So there is a very good vibe, especially in summer. So I opened this restaurant 13 years ago and I'm still there.
What's been the challenges over the years of running your own establishments, especially with 2 sites?
Look, especially the challenging running to business so far has been good. I got my wife that is looking after Darlinghurst, and I usually look after Lucio Pizzeria at Zetland. So it's working quite well. A part of COVID situation, it's working. It's going good.
You mentioned that you started learning to make pizza when you were 14. Can you take us back to that time and some of your earliest pizza memories?
Yeah, look, back then. I was working with my auntie in this exactly in Poggioreale, and my grandma was there doing whatever she had to do, you know. But I was like always a free bird running around here, there, and I remember also my grandma, not even my auntie, my grandma used to scream at me a lot because I would start something and I wouldn't finish it, and then between a pizza and a hard, I would take my break and going somewhere. But in the same time, I had such a good time, and it was such a good experience, and it's thanks to them that I achieved all this. So it's all thanks to them.
In 2018, you were named best pizza in Australia and fifth in the world. Take us through that time and what it took to get that accolade.
Look, thank God, since I opened Darling Hest, we won quite a numbers of awards. 6 months I opened Darling Hest. We won the Sydney Best Pizza from Sydney Morning Herald Good Food Guide, Time Out Magazine. I think 4 years ago from Gambero Rosso, which is an international restaurant guide that even voted us Sydney Best Pizza. And one of our last and biggest achievement was in Parma. Every year they organize a World Pizza Championship. And I decided to go there and, compete myself. And that was a great achievement because, yes, we did win first position in Australia and fifth in the world. There were 778 competitors and 44 different nations.
Tell us what you cooked that day.
No, that day, basically Neapolitan style pizza, all you have to do, it's you got a choice so to make either a margherita or a marinara. So Neapolitan style pizza, all you have to do is they really look into the main key is the dough. The dough, the way the pizza is cooked, that's what they look into it. So it's all about the dough for this sort of category.
You mentioned earlier about what it takes to ferment and create a really light, fluffy dough, which is vital for a pizza. Tell us about the toppings and the sauce and the sort of temperatures involved to get that ideal Neapolitan style pizza.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, once the fermentation is done the right way and you're happy with that, another very important key that we have to consider is the oven. Yeah, obviously, if people have a wood fire oven, that helps a lot because I believe anything that is cooked in a wood fire, you get a different, whether it's fish, meat, or pizza, you get this sort of burnt flavor, timber flavor, smoky flavor, which helps the pizza to get much more flavor into it. So it does help, and also the temperature of the oven has to be a certain degrees to make sure that you get a nice soft fluffy edge. Yeah, usually we work with a really high temperature around 450 degrees. And to cook this sort of a pizza, it only takes 90 seconds. So it's a really, really fast cooking. So, and I also believe that it's even the type of timber that you use that it makes the flavor even more, stands out more. You can smell the smoky flavor of the timber. So there is also all these little elements here and there that people need to be careful about. You know what I mean?
Having a pizzeria in Australia, you would have many challenges with the sort of toppings. Do you have firm opinions on what should always be on a pizza and what should never be on a pizza?
Look, I'm a little bit open-minded, to be honest, as long things make sense. I don't mind to sit on the table and have a discussion. what makes sense and what doesn't make sense, your question is. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm open mind, like with certain things, to be honest. You know, last week, for example, we did a new pizza that was a great achievement. You know what I mean? And it has nothing to do with tomato sauce and mozzarella cheese. You know, we did something a little bit different from normally what we do. So, but as long we respect the Italian gastronomy, it's fine for me. To me, mixing the ingredients, it's also a knowledge, but as long the mix makes sense and they match together, I don't mind to be open-minded and having different toppings from the, you know, from the normal toppings that we have every day on the pizza.
Can you give us some examples of some of the combinations that you think have worked?
Yeah, look, last week I launched a new special on the pizza, which was a success. Like it was pumpkin provola, which is smoked mozzarella, has a little bit of smoked flavor into it. Duja, which is a kind of a salami puree, like salami, but puree is extremely hot, and sausage mince. You know, the duja with the sausage mince, the pumpkin cut into dice, and the smoked mozzarella really, to me, really works really well. And it's different, you know, it's not usual topping that you would try, you know what I mean? That's what I mean. If we play around with ingredients that it makes sort of sense, and when you taste it, say, Jesus, that's nice, you know, the smoking flavor, then a touch of a heat from the spiciness of nduja, you know what I mean? That's why it's nice to be open-minded, but has to work together, the whole combination of ingredients.
As one of the world's best pizza makers, what's your favorite toppings for a pizza?
Look, I never get tired of margherita. I know it sounds sometimes boring, but it's, for me, the combination of the tomato sauce, the mozzarella, the fresh basil, and a drizzle of olive oil. For me, you can't beat it. Like, you know, and hotter it is, and better it is. This type of a pizza should be eaten, has to be eaten straight out of the oven.
Pizza is one of the food products that's renowned for home delivery. Is it something that you try to avoid for those reasons, that the temperature is so vital to the eating experience?
Look, I always invite my customer to come and enjoy the night. And have a pizza, you know, on the table. There is still fuming and smoking and hot. But not everybody has the chance of going out and, you know, people busy nowadays. So it does change this sort of style when the pizza gets cold. It changes in flavor. So, but I believe anything changes in flavor when it's cold. You know what I mean? Yeah. So anything that is hot, it tastes better. That's all.
You have 2 venues at the moment that we've touched on briefly. What sort of impact did COVID have on your business and the time since?
Big. I hope this is the end of it, to be honest. It was very challenging. Has been tough, has been scary. But, you know, to be honest, I never gave up, you know. I never gave up, and it was tough time, especially at the beginning. Even though we did some delivery here and there, it wasn't really enough to support the businesses, you know. But the good thing about it is in Zetland, I had this idea which helped us a lot, helped us to go through COVID, not for long, for 3-4 weeks, but it did help. So basically back then, right at the beginning of COVID, I don't know if you guys remember, Coles, they ran out pasta, they ran out tomato sauce, they ran out a lot of things. So one day I went to Coles, because I'm in Zetland, I'm in a shopping center, right? And so one day I went to Coles and I didn't see any pasta, I didn't see any tomato sauce. And going back to the restaurant, I thought about it. I said, but if there is no pasta, probably there is high demand, you know what I mean? And because in Zetland we do fresh pasta, we got a big machine that can do big load of pasta on every hour. I said, you know what? I'm going to have a stand in front of Coles and I'm going to make my own sauces. And I'm going to make gnocchi and I'm going to make fresh pasta because Coles doesn't have any. So I spoke to the manager and he gave me the okay, and that's what we did. Overnight, within 2 days, I spoke to my boys. I said, boys, this is the situation. I spoke to the chef, to everybody. I said, this probably will help us and help you more than me, to be honest, to go through wherever it is, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you know what I mean? So at the beginning it would be hard because to prepare everything, like it was a lot of work involved. And because I go like such a good team, and you know, say, Lucio, we do. If you believe this is going to work, we do what we do. Like let's start. I say, not a problem. So we worked overnight, to be honest, and enough to have enough production. And it did work. Like within 1.5 days, we had the stand there. We had an upright 2-door glass fridge with all the pasta, spaghetti, gnocchi, sauces like arrabbiata, puttanesca, Napoli sauce, pesto sauce. Like the fridge was full of... and the good things is the community not just liked it, they was shocked of this idea that came overnight, and it did help us go through, to be honest. So it was a good idea.
Have you made changes that have remained because of what's happened in the last year?
Look, COVID, yes, slightly. Then now within my restaurant in Zetland, I'm selling fresh pasta as well, and sauces. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So COVID did change, especially for some business, the structure of running a business. It did change that.
What about you personally? You have friends and family back in Italy, and a challenging time for your businesses here in Australia. How have you felt, and have you had any correspondence with people back in Italy and what's happening there?
Anthony, we live in the best country in the world, by far. The reasons why I say that, yes, I did speak to a few people over there. I did speak to a few friends that they are in business like me and they go restaurants. I do believe we live the best country in the world. We did this industry as hard as it go. We did get some sort of support from the government that helped us going through. Although I believe the challenging starts now and not before, you know, but even before the government did help us with job keeper, with the best that we had to pay, rent relief, like all these sort of things. Talking to a few friends over there, they're still complaining and fighting, and like, you know, they didn't get the help that was expected, and they didn't get, you know, this sort of, when I tell them, I share them this, you know, what the government did here, like they don't believe me, you know. So the government here helped us a lot, you know, which was good to see, you know, like it was good to see a business open, you know what I mean? Even though I think we should get more help now than before, to be honest with you, you know what I mean? Because I think the challenging is more now than before. Because before, really, what the government did, they just helped the economy, you know what I mean? Because for us as a business owner, it didn't make any difference, because it's not like we made any money. You know what I mean? Like job keeper, it was good. It was such a good idea, but who really helped my employee? You know what I mean? So the government said, rather than sack your employee, we pay them. The base, we didn't have to pay, but even if I would have closed the business, really, I didn't have to pay the base, I didn't have to pay job keeper, and I didn't have to pay the rent. So, but what the government idea was to, for the economy, to run the economy, you know what I mean? So we help you to stay open, and but the challenge for me is now, because obviously not having a strong cash flow as before, and now that everything is going back to normal, tax-wise, rent-wise, people, they're gonna suffer more now than before. You know what I mean? Before it wasn't easy, but it was easy, really. You know.
What sort of support would you like to see to help businesses now?
Look, probably the same support that we got in the past, just because for me what scares me is more the recover. You know what I mean? Not having a strong cash flow, that means business failure. And now that everything is going back to normal, you got to pay the rent, you got to pay your employee, you got to pay the base, and the base, that what scares me the most, to be honest. So if we could get some sort of support, the same support that we got in the past for another, I don't know how long, as long, like, but that will help a lot of businesses, that's for sure. Otherwise, a lot of business, that will go in trouble.
You arrived here many years ago, and you've had one of your restaurants for 13 years and the other for 5 years. Can you compare what food is like now in Sydney, and particularly pizza, compared to the early days when you first arrived?
Yeah, look, after 13 years, a lot of changes has been. Australia came a long way. Now there is a lot of restaurants, yeah, a lot of competition, which is good. There are a lot of new produce. Back then we didn't have many choices. Yeah, back then there were not many pizzerias, not many Italian restaurants. I remember back then there was not a middle class Italian restaurant. It was all really bad or fine dining. That was the choice. Yeah, but in the last 7, 8, 10 years, you know, having the middle class Italian restaurants where, you know, even if you don't have a tablecloth on the table, you're still able to eat a nice plate of a pasta at a decent price. Before these didn't exist. Before it was all really cheap or really expensive. Back then, like now, we got a lot of good produce, guys. Australia came a long way. We do have such good, you know, compared to many years ago, you know, we do have good olive oil. We do have good wine. So I think Australia came a long way to compare to many years ago. And now, as I said, there are many choices for consumers.
You spent over a decade building your brand and identity in Australia, and you're, you know, one of the very best in the world. But the last year has been challenging. What's your hopes moving forward, and do you have any plans that you can share with us?
Yeah, the plans is moving forward, guys. We need to be positive. We need to be positive. We do live in one of the best countries in the world. People need to feel more confident to go out. They need to help the local business more than ever. I think we're gonna be fine. It is going to. I hope we're going towards an end. COVID is I believe is gone, and I hope so. The plans for the future. I'm opening a cafe very, very soon. So,
Wow.
yeah. So, yeah, I'm very positive.
The laugh that you did after that makes it sound like it may be a crazy idea or a great idea. Can you tell us a bit about it?
No, yeah. Look, it is crazy idea, but everybody has coffee in the morning, even during COVID. You know, I think coffee shop probably within my industry was the only sector that it was busy. You know what I mean? Busier than ever. Yes, I got this good location in Kensington that, in a corner position, nice little small place, and it's very residential. And so in 12 weeks, hopefully, I'm going to be open a new coffee shop.
Wow.
Where we're going to do breakfast, lunch, cafe, and stuff like this, yeah.
Well, that's brilliant. Well, that was a surprise. I didn't realize you had that on the cards. Lucio, amazing to catch up with you, and congratulations on your success and what you will do in the future as well. Looking forward to seeing that. We've loved having you on Deep in the Weeds. Please keep in touch, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you very much for having me.
This is the Deep in the Weeds podcast. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Stay tuned as we share the stories of Australia's hospo community, suppliers and producers in search of hope during this pandemic. Special thanks to executive producer Rob Locke for making this all happen. Follow us on Instagram at Deep in the Weeds Podcast, or email us at podcast@deepintheweeds.com.au. Stay safe and be well.